Hi everyone, just before we get into another episode of What a Load of Bulls, we just want to give a shout out to our partners, Newcastle Car and Truck Rental. Newcastle Car and Truck Rental are a locally owned company servicing Newcastle and the Hunter. Todd Holden and family pride themselves on being part of the local community, and you feel that when you step through their doors. It isn't a different person every time you call, it's the same people taking care of business and taking care of you. So next time you're in need of a rental, be it a truck to move, a ute for those everyday DIY jobs, or a car to get the family around on a day out, be sure to contact the team at Newcastle Car and Truck Rental by visiting www.newcastlerental.com or by calling 02 49 081 081. And don't forget to tell them DJ and Simon sent you. Welcome back, everyone. Episode 59 of the What a Load of Bulls podcast. DJ and Simon back again. We've got two special guests with us again as well. We've got CEO Neil Dalrymple and President Brett O'Reilly here from World Bulls to talk to us about the World Cup coming up this week, fellas. So welcome.
Thank you.
Howdy.
Welcome. So yeah, we're having a quick look. Neil, we'll jump in straight with you, mate. So World Cup, the inaugural event. This is going to be probably ranked third after the Commonwealth Games in the World Bowls if you can get it going properly. So tell us a bit more about it, mate, and what can we expect in Kuala Lumpur next week?
Well, it's hugely exciting. At the enthusiasm that's coming through from our hosts in Bowls Malaysia. I mean, they're throwing a lot of effort, time, and enthusiasm to run this event. They're super excited because it is really the first major event to be run, first Bowls event to run in Malaysia since the Commonwealth Games of 1998. So
yep.
There's so many people involved, from sponsors that they've brought to the table, the government, the Minister of Sport, who's going to be quite present throughout the week. We've got royalty coming to various stages, which Brett will talk about the Hall of Fame dinner soon.
Yep.
But so it's going to be an amazing event. The countries are very excited. I've had regular contact over the last few weeks with most of the countries. The field that's been established is probably one of the best fields of players that we've seen in obviously a small number of players from each country, but the quality is there. So I've just saw recently in the last couple of days, Bowls Malaysia had a press conference which they talked about their ambitions to get on the podium, at least one gold medal. So they're setting some high, I suppose there's some fair bit of pressure locally to perform well. But look, there's certainly a home ground advantage somewhat. But again, we're getting on 4 portable rinks that Bowls Malaysia have pulled together, and also under the roof of their main green at the home of Bowls Malaysia. I'm expecting big crowds. It's going to be humid. We're not going to be impacted by weather because we're undercover. So from a scheduling point of view, I see it's going to work really well. And of course, one of the highlights of the week is we've got the rest of the world playing Malaysia as well on the Thursday night as we head towards the end of the week. So that will be a highlight, and that's for our Bowls for Brisbane showcase match. So again, there's a lot of things happening around it. I know. Brett and I have talked a lot about this. This is genuinely going to be a festival of bowls this week, and it's in the heart of, Kuala Lumpur's in the news at the moment, as we know, and so there's a few special guests. Well, Brett and I arrive on Saturday, so maybe Donald might have already left by.
I'm eating lunch with them tomorrow.
So it's a few famous people leave, and then some other guys show up from down the southern hemisphere. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's exciting. There's still a few question marks about how the whole week's going to run. It's a little bit in the air sometimes, but on the day, I'm pretty confident that this will be a superb event, and again, so much enthusiasm from all around the world.
I think Neil's
definitely, mate.
Neil's being very modest. He's done a fantastic job with the team, working with Bowls Malaysia and pulling it together. And look, we'll discover a lot in the next week. But I think this will be unlike anything we've ever seen before in our game, and I'm really excited about it. And and it's great to see it all starting to come together.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. As you said, plenty of things happening. You've got the main event itself, which is going to run from the 4th through to the 8th. It's got men's singles, men's pairs, women's singles, women's pairs, and then mixed para pairs, and then men's and women's singles in the para events as well. You've got, as you said, on the back of Brisbane, trying to get the Brisbane 2032. You've got the Malaysia versus rest of the world happening on the Thursday, 7:45 Malaysian time. Looking forward to that one as well. And we've also got then the World Bowls Hall of Fame, which we will talk to a bit more with Brett in a bit of time as well. So that's coming up to conclude the event as well. So as you said, Neil, pretty big festival of bowls. Preparation, happy with how the preparation's going?
It is. Look, it's been very positive. As Brett knows, there's just a lot of work to be done, and yeah, fortunately, we've got a host country that's just got a huge appetite for this, and they want to make the most of the hosting opportunity. We're in a central part of the world too. I think that's worth noting that getting to Kuala Lumpur it's a really accessible place, and people are having to not have to fly right across the world to get to the actual where the competition is going to be held. I think the uniqueness of this event, DJ, is the teams event. I mean, I think this is what will kind of set it apart a little bit. It's going to be, dare I compare it to, say, a Ryder Cup style event. It's, the results of every match will contribute to the overall result and the final finishing position. So the ultimate winner will need to perform well across all disciplines, and all matches will mean something as we get towards the pointy end. Now, yes, there'll be winners of gold medalists and silver and bronze medalists in each of the disciplines, but then there's an overall winner of the World Cup. And I think this will set ourselves for the future in terms of how frequent we run this. I think we'll learn a lot over the next week and a half. And my gut feel at the moment is this is going to be one of the real special events that a lot of countries are going to want to be a part of.
Well, from the outside looking in, I have to agree with you, Neil. Like the way the socials have been going and stuff, as you said, Malaysia's on there all the time promoting different things, the team announcements and everything, and it just seems to be getting, every team that comes out just seems to be getting better and better. For the first one, I think it's going to be, it should be an absolute super event, and let's hope it does crack on and you get out of it what we want to get out of it, and it is the third biggest event after World Championships and Commonwealth Games. So all credit to you. I'm very excited to obviously be part of it next week as well and be there. So it'll be great to see it firsthand. And don't worry, Simon, I'll report back how things are going.
Oh, please just look after him. Like, he doesn't get out of that Maitland City office very much. So keep him in one piece, please.
You can't drink. It's a very much a Muslim country, so there's no alcohol, DJ. So
well,
I'm sorry.
Simon's the only one of us two that actually does drink anyway. As long as it's Pepsi Max, I'm good. So, Brett, over to you, mate. So, what are you expecting from the event? What do you hope to achieve from this?
Well, I think, firstly, I think it's going to be an incredible television showcase for the sport. When we're facing the threat of bowls not being in the Commonwealth Games, we obviously worked really hard to come up with this new format. The fact we've been able to incorporate that format into the World Cup, I think, is really an ideal situation for us, because it means that our top 12 nations are playing in the same format that we're going to use at Com Games next year. And who knows, that might be the format that we end up having in future Com Games, Olympics, who knows. So I think not all of the teams that are playing at the World Cup will be in the Commonwealth Games, but the majority will be. So I think that's a really good opportunity. And it's going to be a further enhancement of our television product. I think, our broadcasting product's getting better and better. And what's been really pleasing is we've got interest from mainstream sports broadcasters now who are interested in our product. And so, we've got Sky Sport from New Zealand picking up the feed from the World Cup, and we've got interest in the World Bowl Series finals at Club Bar. And that, that's what we wanted, right? We wanted it to be creating something that's a really good television spectacle. I think it's fantastic that we've got the integration of the para players. As you know, we've just merged with the International Bowls for the Disabled, and which secures us membership of the International Paralympic Committee, and we need that as part of our bid for Bowls for Brisbane. It shows, I believe we're the world's most diverse and inclusive sport, and we're going to demonstrate that in KL, and again get some great images that we can use for that Bowls for Brisbane campaign. So I think that's cool. It's always great seeing the best players in the world play. That's always a huge buzz. And as Neil said, we've got a really good field of players. And then we've got all those other ancillary things that are happening. We've got the launch of our World Bowls Academy. That's something that is really important. That's how we're going to grow the capability and capacity of the game. As I travel around, I'm in Korea today. And as you talk to more and more associations, you realise how important it is that we help them to upskill and get more ITOs, more coaches, more players, etc. We're launching some other work we've been doing around research frameworks for bowls. So we've got a development forum with our members after our annual general meeting. We've also got some meetings with some of the major countries there, which will be really good. And then we've got at the launch of our World Bowls Hall of Fame. And as you both know, that's something that's really dear to my heart. The announcement of the 31 inductees has been incredibly well received. And we've got about half of the inductees coming to KL at their own cost for the induction ceremony. And I'm not going to give too much away, but it's going to be pretty special. So we've done some things that we've never done before in the sport in terms of to honour them, and so I think it'll be pretty special. And again, just to be in the room with that sort of quality group of people on and off the green, I think is going to be a pretty amazing night.
I'm glad you think of me in that way, Brett. That's great. It's a quality person. Simon, did you record that?
Yeah, we got that. You got that.
Mate, just before we do go on, we'll sidetrack a bit. You did say you're in Korea at the minute. Tell us a bit about that trip.
Well, I try and mix my World Bowls activity with other things that I do in my life. And one of the things that I do is I represent New Zealand on a group called the APEC Business Advisory Council. So I'm in Korea for the APEC week, and I am going to an event with Donald Trump tomorrow. And so on my way up here, I spent a few days in Shanghai. My son lives there, but it also coincided with the Chinese nationals down in Chenzhou. So I went down there and met with the China Multi Bowls Association, watched some of the play, which was great, and they used that as a trial for a Chinese team who are going to be touring Australia in December. They're going to be coming down at the same time as the World Bowl Series and playing a bunch of international games. And I got to tell you, 3 out of 4 of those players are in their teens. So,
wow.
so we're seeing first time a bunch of really young players coming through there, and they played very well. It was really high standards. So that was last week, and then got up to Korea on Saturday, and I've had a bunch of. In Korea, there are 2 associations. So as we've brought IBD and World Bowls together, we've realised in some countries we're probably going to have to manage the associations separately, certainly in the short term, because they get funded separately. Yeah. And so I met with the Korean Lawn Bowls Association, who, if you like, are the able-bodied association. And they are the smaller of the 2 associations here. So we've been talking about how we grow their numbers. And they've got some really exciting plans around youth and around getting into schools and some other initiatives. And for them, World Bowls becoming part of IPC through the merger with IBD and becoming part of IOC through our membership that we're just waiting to be finally confirmed with World Batonkan Bowls is huge, because it lifts their standing amongst other sports, So we've been talking about that and how that might work, and I may come back to Korea. I've got another business trip to China later in the year, and so I may come back to Korea to meet with the Korea Sports Council. Then on Thursday, I'm meeting with the Korea Bowls for the Disabled. So I was up in Korea 4 weeks ago at the International Paralympic Committee meeting, and that's when I discovered that actually Korea has the largest number, I think, of disabled bowlers in the world. 1,000 bowlers here. Many of them are about 30 clubs which are used by abled and disabled bowlers, I want to say, but there's 1,000 bowlers here. And they've got massive plans of what they want to do with disabled bowlers. And so we got some meetings with them. And again, just dumb luck, they've got their Korea Disabled Bowls Championships on at the moment. So I'm going to those on Thursday, and that leads into the Korean National Paralympic Games, which start on Friday. So I'm going to the opening ceremony of that, juggling my various things I've got on while I'm here to just try and make sure I can do my bit and be along to meet with them. So in this role, every trip I do, you discover a little bit more about the game, things that you didn't know, that dynamics of how things work, and the Korea Bowls for the Disabled have some really big plans of things that they want to do here long term, hosting international events. Same with the able-bodied side as well. So it's really interesting. And then I put all that Apex stuff away on Friday night and jump on the plane to go to KL on Saturday, and then redial back into the bowls stuff again for KL. So but I think that the good thing for me is you can just see growth opportunities everywhere. And what was nice, even in the meeting I had this afternoon with the Korea Lawn Bowls guys, was they rightly raised a bunch of issues that are constraining them. And every issue, I was able to say, we've got an initiative that's going to address that. We've got our World Bowls Academy that's going to be able to help you with growing capacity. We've got our Bowls for Brisbane campaign that's going to, position us for the Olympics. We've got plans for doing training at our regional events. So that was really, really good. Of course, there are some things that we haven't got plans for. I don't want to pretend we've got everything covered, but certainly a lot of the issues, and that's important to me, because you want to make sure that we aren't operating in a vacuum, that what we're delivering is actually what our member nations need, and some of those things are common across the countries that I've been to, but some of them are a little bit uniquely different. So it's good to get on the ground and just get a flavour for that. And just to add to that story, they introduced me to a Korean company today who I had lunch with, who make a concrete product which is specially designed to not retain heat. And the concrete holds 50% less heat, and it's permeable. So think about the base for an artificial bowling green.
We're currently working on Club Mill City.
So Eureka, and these guys want to expand globally and are really interested in partnering with World Bowls. So, I wasn't expecting I'd be having that conversation here, but they're keen. So at the moment, we know that for many clubs that are going with artificial, they have to cover them because of the heat underfoot. If we control this product and it works, it could be a game changer for a lot of countries, and they were targeting New Zealand and Australia as countries that they wanted to expand in. They don't have any markets outside of Korea at the moment because of the temperature variations that both countries experience, but hadn't really thought about bowls. And through a connection, we ended up talking about both opportunities, and they're really keen to partner with World Bowls on that. So let's see where that goes.
That's unbelievable, isn't it, DJ? Well, it's got me going because, like I said, we're working on that at Club Mill City at the minute, and it's we may have a conversation off air, Brett.
Even if you're going to cover a green, the ability to actually be able to water it, just to improve the running surface, having the ability. There's a whole bunch of things. So it's been really interesting. So. It's been a big year of travel. I think I've clocked off 20 countries since I became president.
Mate, you're an absolute credit to the sport, because you are. Every time we speak to you, we learn something different. You're putting in the hard yards to try and get us in the Olympics, but and everything else, and setting up all these member nations and helping them get going. Mate, you're an absolute credit. It was great talking to you every time you come on.
Well, thanks, DJ. I mean, it's a huge privilege and honour for me to have the role. As someone who's been involved in the game my whole life, so like, when you get these opportunities, you want to make the most of them, and you never know what's around the corner tomorrow. So you want to make every day count where you can.
Have you got a cardboard cutout at home so your wife remembers what you look like?
Well, fortunately, my wife Robin, she's a top bowler in New Zealand. She's had a good season already. She's won the I'll get a little plug in for her. She's won the New Zealand Masters Peers second year in a row, and she just got third with Leanne Paulson in the Stoke Invitational Peers, which is a big deal in New Zealand. So she's concentrating on the bowls, and I'm concentrating on the bowls, just in slightly different ways. But we're a little bit like shits in the night, but that's not actually an unusual thing for us. The bowling season comes around, but generally I am in the country, but not so much at the moment.
You've ticked off a few brownie points there, so that'll keep you going for another few trips away.
I guess I hope so.
Absolutely. Mate, I don't want to talk about it too much, but we do need to touch on it because I'm really looking forward to this part of the trip next week. It's World Bowls Hall of Fame. So just to pick your brain a little bit, because obviously you were on the committee and all that. So we've got 28 being announced at the inaugural launch. 31. Is that right? 31 men and women.
Yep. And so 16 men, 15 women, and that was based on the points cutoff. So part of the criteria was performance across a series of events, which we've disclosed. Yeah, so it's great to have that first group to be inducted, and obviously, some massive names in there of people, that have just made a huge impact to the sport on and off the green. And
I've purchased a new autograph book just ready to bring over.
Spoiler alert: David Rhys-Jones is coming to KL, who was on the committee and obviously played with one of the greats of our game, David Bryant, the late David Bryant, who is one of the Hall of Fame inductees. So DRJ is going to be giving us a bit of a run through of what's happening. And second spoiler alert: our member nations know this, but we haven't announced publicly. David Rhys-Jones has been put forward by the World Bowls Board to become a life member of World Bowls, the first broadcaster and journalist to be and player and writer as well. So DJ, there's an aspiration for you. You've only got another 50 years of this work to do to keep yourself in the frame.
The problem is I can't write.
Well, talk to DRJ. I mean, I'm sure he did.
A few tips, right? A few tips.
And it would be remiss of me to not add that we're also we've got another person who's been put up for life membership, and that is Sheila Corcoran. For those, Sheila's name may not be so familiar with a lot of bowlers, but Sheila was the head classifier for international bowls for the disabled and its previous organisation since 2002. So she's an absolute legend in the disabled game. And with IBD merging with World Bowls, we felt it was appropriate that she be recognised by World Bowls now. She stepped down as a head classifier in June. McIntyre from South Africa has taken over from her. So we're really thrilled to be recognising Sheila, and she'll be at KL. So her and DRJ will be there. So they'll be at the Hall of Fame dinner, and then the following day we've got our AGM. And we've had a special custom-made piece of jewellery designed for each of the Hall of Fame winners. And I think it's going to be a very very special night.
Very, very good, mate. So what can we expect for future inductees? Is there a certain time frame of when you'll induct more, or is it have you thought that far ahead yet, or what's the plan process there?
We're working through that. I mean, it was as I expected. There was a lot of conjecture about why were some people in and why were some people out.
Well, there's always going to be, because the sport's been around for so long, and this is the first time you've done it. I mean, and that's one thing that we get is how are current players in when previous players aren't. Well, you have the
100%. The Hall of Fame induction, we are going to also recognise some players who each won 2 gold medals in either Commonwealth Games, World Bowls, or both, but of course didn't have the range of international events to be able to play in to accumulate the level of points that that the Hall of Fame inductees had. Well, we just felt it was appropriate to recognise those. I say we, that was the Hall of Fame committee, chaired by Kerry Clark, and so we'll be just recognising those people there. And so we do plan to do another induction next year, and I think we haven't determined this, but the logical place to do that will be in Glasgow during the Commonwealth Games. There's so many nations there. And so we can think about how we do that. Probably not with the sort of quite the same format as we're doing in KL, because we won't have the time to do that. But we'll see.
No.
We're definitely keen to do that. We made a decision early that the first induction would be about players, but there are other people that need to be recognised in the game. People who have been administrators in the game, coaches, and other areas. So
podcasters.
Para, and last but definitely least, podcasters, so the committee will get together in the next few months and just start to think about that. It'd be good to get some feedback from the nations around that. We do. On one hand, we've got a lot of catching up to do. We're a sport that's been around for a long time. While we were doing research for it, I dug out, and I'll show you this, DJ, when we get to KL. I was doing some research, and I actually used AI. We use it a lot at World Bowls, and I was just trying to do a bit of research, and I found this book called The Who's Who of Bowls. It was written in 1957, published in 1957, and it has a lot of the detail of how bowls started in different countries, how World Bowls started. So that's pretty fascinating. So I'll have that book available for people to have a look at when we're there. So awesome. I'm learning all the time, about our history, let alone what's going on at the moment. So I think it'll be, it's going to be something that we want to be doing often enough to keep the Hall of Fame in people's consciousness, and to make sure that we do recognise people, and there are, the next group, if you like, that we need to assess. And I think there are some great players that have not been inducted in this group that I'm sure will be inducted in the future. And of course, we've got players winning events all the time. So I'm sure at the World Cup we're definitely seeing some players at the World Cup like Paul Foster and Kelsey Cottrell and Ryan Bester who are amongst the first inductees of the Hall of Fame. But I'm sure there'll be a bunch of other players there that will feature in the future.
Just starting their careers.
Yeah, so it'll be good to see that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Brett, I'm very conscious of time here, but honestly, thank you for your time being in Korea to give up that extra sort of 20 minutes, half an hour to talk us through that stuff, mate. Very excited to catch up with you next week in KL, and then hopefully on the next podcast, we'll see if we can get you back on again, and we'll look at a review of how everything went over there, and we'll talk a bit more about that and a few other, dear knows what other trip you've got. But just remember, and it's recorded from the last podcast, when the Caribbean trip comes up, me and Simon are ready to go.
Absolutely.
It hasn't been
I'm
forgotten.
on that one. Not going to miss out on that one.
And it's looking like Trinidad and Tobago, and it's looking like first quarter next year. So we'll definitely do a bit of plotting and scheming about that. Let's just hope there's no hurricanes blowing through the Caribbean. And I should acknowledge our World Bowls nation, Jamaica, who are in the midst of dealing with a massive hurricane at the moment. And certainly my thoughts are with those people in Jamaica, and just let's just hope that they manage to hunker down and get through what's going to be a pretty difficult few days.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks again, Brett, and we'll catch up again soon.
Thank you, team.
Thanks.
Bowls isn't just a summer game anymore. With a MacMax Canopy, you can play through autumn, winter, and spring, and even that weird in-between season we call footy finals. Whatever the month, you're good to go. For year-round roll-ups, make it a MacMax. Well, folks, that was Brett O'Reilly and Neil Dalrymple. Thanks again to their time just to give us a quick rundown of what's gone into this event to get this event up and running. So it is the World Cup. For those that aren't familiar with it, jump on the World Bowls website, go to the events section, and it's got its own 2025 World Cup section there. It's got all the information you need. Now for the good part of the show where Simon and I dissect it all for you and break it down for all the lesser IQ people like us. So, Simon, next week, heading to KL, mate. That's what we call Kuala Lumpur for those that are traveling there, KL.
You have mentioned it a few times that you're going. I'm the only one.
We're talking to them too as well, didn't we? But anyway,
yeah.
So the World Cup, it is the inaugural World Cup. We have had a World Cup previously, but this is the new event. This is the inaugural one of the team events. So running from November the 4th until November the 8th, top 12 nations, all sending people there. So the nations are, Simon, in alphabetical order: Australia, Canada, England, Hong Kong, China, India, Ireland, Malaysia, New Zealand, Scotland, South Africa, USA, Wales. No disputes there, I don't think.
Nah.
So there's not. They will all be contesting across the 7 disciplines. There will be gold medals for all the events. But the main thing is to win the Team World Cup. So you get points for how you place in all the disciplines, all right? We'll get into that in a second. So, conditions of play, as Neil said, it's a Commonwealth Games format. So the singles are going to be played in 7-end sets with tie breaks. And the pairs are going to be played 5-end sets, tie breaks, 3 ball pairs.
Okay.
No delivery of the jack. Jack is placed on certain tees, and the respot is 1 meter from the ditch, not the 2 meter mark. Sound familiar, Simon?
Yep. Okay.
Very
That does
much
sound
BPL.
familiar.
Very much
what we've
BPL.
got on the backdrop in the TV here as we're
TV as we're watching, we're watching. So we are. So yes, it's very much a BPL format, or derived from the BPL format, because the 7 ends for singles is a bit different. But anyway, so as we say, 7 disciplines, points for how you place in all those disciplines. So in the men's and the women's singles events, for instance, there's going to be 24 competitors because you get 2 entrants and they all jump into it. And wherever it's 24 points for first place and 1 point for 24th place. And those points go towards the grand total. Well, obviously, the main goal is for that nation to lift the World Cup at the end of the day. All right. So tie breaks and everything, if it needs to be, tie break sets and things like that there if we need be. So it's very, 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 very fast format. It looks like there's going to be 6 sessions a day from the draws. The draws are all on there on the website, like we said. We're going to open up with, on the 8 rink outdoor, which is undercover, we're opening up with the women's singles and looks like the para pairs. On the 4 portable rinks in the leisure centre, which is 100 metres away from the venue, we're going with the men's singles. A couple of good clashes there to start with, but 6 sessions a day, starting from 8:30 in the morning, running through to 6:30 in the evening. That starts on the Tuesday and the Wednesday. Then we've got the Thursdays when the other stuff starts to kick off. The women's singles semi-final will be played on the Wednesday. And then the men's pair semi-final on the Wednesday. And then we're into the Thursday, where it's more events. And then, Friday and Saturday we'll see the finals played. Looking at the teams, Simon.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, some of these events, I think it's safe to say, developmental teams can be sent.
Yeah, that definitely, like in the past, like there's been some of these events that's what happens. But looking at the field for this event, I can't really say that is shining through. There's definitely some red hot teams there.
Oh, mate, let's just start. We'll do it in alphabetical order, like we said, but let's just start with Australia. Corey Wedlock and Aaron Tees. We're talking about BPL format. They've won this 5 times together.
Yeah.
Right? Then you've got two women by the name of Kelsey Cottrell and Dawn Heyman.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you've got James Reynolds and Serena Bonnell in the para. But that is not a developmental team. That is very
Most
much.
Definitely not.
That is very much, in my humble opinion, a team geared towards Glasgow 2026. Very much so. And I will happily install Corey and Aaron in particular as red hot favourite in the men's pairs. Now, it's going to get a bit juicy as we continue on with these team announcements, but that is, with the format and with how much them two play together, they've got to be favourites.
Yeah.
Canada, very experienced pair of Ryan Bester and John Bazier.
Yep.
Females, you've got Emma Boyd and Kelly McCarrahan, who know a lot about the Australian conditions. And in their para, they've got Jack Smart and Annie Hibbard. The English team, Sam Tolchard and Jamie Walker. Sam, one of the best over there. I would love to actually see. It's one guy that I'd love to see in the BPL. I'd love to see him get a run with the BPL franchise out here eventually, at some point. And Jamie Walker, who's currently playing for the Sydney Saints. Mm-hmm. Then we've got Emily Kerrick and Kernick and Catherine Rednall, who's also playing BPL. Then we've got John Greaves and Sally-Ann Lewis-Wall. Alrighty, so that's the English team. Hong Kong, we've got Kaho Lee and James Poe, Cheryl Chan and Helen Chung, Wai Sam Tong and Wai Lin Tang. Moving on to the Indian team. Patal Sonowal, Dinesh Kumar, Nayan Sakari, Ripani Tirki, Utpal Basamatari, and Nilma Ray. Apologies, obviously, if any of those were wrong, but we're having a red-hot crack. This one's a little bit easier to say. It's the Irish teammate. Adam McKeown and Ryan McElroy, Lara Rainey and Chloe Wilson, Brian Smith and Linda Walsh. Now, how much do we want to poke a bear here? We're saying about red-hot teams, and I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone, but there's a glaring omission there when it comes to the Irish Bulls. Now, Adam is a World Players Champion. All right. Ryan's red-hot at the minute over there at home, but you could have had a Gary Kelly in there. Could have had a Gary Kelly in there. So we could have. Lara and Chloe, two of the young girls up and coming, and then Brian and Linda have been around as well. Have been around a while now. It's good to see them getting a run in the para. The Malaysian team, Simon, stay with me. All right, this could be a bit. Izzat Jukable, Mohammed Rusli, Emma Saroji, Nurul Jamal, Mode Muda, and Jiraiya Zakaria. That's their team for that.
Fair effort with those names, DJ. Yeah, but yeah.
It was good to hear from Neil about how much preparation they're putting into it, and the fact that they're having press conferences and they're setting targets, and they want to have at least one gold medal there. And they always perform well in Malaysia. Ever since they got Commonwealth Games in 1998, they've performed pretty darn well. So they've produced a few superstars of the game. Anyway, New Zealand, mate, we had a chat about this off air. I think this men's team may not be the gun New Zealanders that we were expecting, but it is the best named team in the competition, with Keanu Darby and Finbar McGuigan. How good's that? We're Shannon McElroy and Ali Forsyth, but we are best.
Moving
the
on.
Women's team, but mate, Caitlin Inch and Selena Goddard. That's a team right there. Kurt Smith and Terry Blackburn for the para. Scotland, I don't know if you've heard of these two guys. Paul Foster, MBE, and Jason Banks. Again, not a bad side. Carolyn Brown and Sophie McGrather, and then Gary Brown and Pauline Wilson in the para. South Africa, Jason Evans, Wayne Roberts, Anik Sheeps and Bridget Hershelman. Jared James and Margie Palmer. Moving on to the USA. Aaron Zangle, Lauren Dion, Janice Bell, Anne Nunez, who world champion winner. Mm-hmm. Kerman Mohammed and Desiree Lim in the para. And finally then the Welsh, Daniel Davies Jr. with Ross Owen, Amy Williams with Carolyn Taylor, and then Rob Sawyers and Sue Jones in the para. So a lot of who's who in the Bulls world at the minute.
Absolutely.
Some absolutely red-hot teams, mate. I am very interested to see how this plays out. I still, looking at the men's, I'm happy that, like I said, Corey and Aaron have got to be red-hot. They've got to be favourites.
Yeah, but look, like it's a team event, so it's got to be 6 players. So just having a strong men's team or a strong para, like you got to be strong across those three. Like, and
if I'm looking at the individual disciplines, I'm thinking as a pair, they're going to be hard to stop. I think in the women's pairs, it's a little bit more open. Like Kelsey and Dawn are going to be up there, but Emma and Kelly, like that's a great team for Canada.
And the New Zealand team.
And the New Zealand team with Caitlin and Selena Goddard, like they know what they're doing as well. That's your three ones that stand out. But you can't knock back Emily Kernick and Catherine Rednall as well. Catherine's a gun on the carpets back home in England, so a lot to look forward there too. James Reynolds and Serena Bonnell, but mate, they are if they click, it's hard to say. Like we can't say we're experts in the power from other nations and things, but knowing James Reynolds and Serena, like that's red hot.
Yeah,
makes it a little bit more interesting. But when it comes to singles, because all of them are in it together and competing together, then so Corey and Aaron could end up playing in a final or a semi-final somewhere.
Yep.
But you've got perennial indoor singles winner Paul Foster MBE there, and then the current gun of the World Bowls Tour, Jason Banks as well. Like I said, Sammy Tolchard and Jamie Walker. The singles event's a lot more open. Harder to pick a winner there. I will go for a Corey Wedlock double though.
Interesting.
I mean, Corey's just a gun. He's just his consistency level. His floor and ceiling is so much narrower than what some other people's are. Like his bad games aren't far off his good games. He's just so consistent. Mm-hmm. So he is. He's just you need that type of stuff over there. He's good on carpets. I reckon Corey could do the double over there. But then don't forget the Master Blaster Ryan Bester. Man, I'm looking forward to the event. It could be an absolute superstar.
We mentioned the BPL is on this week that we're doing this recording, and look, that could play a part as well. You got a lot of those players are playing in that, and somebody has a good week there and rides the wave, and all of a sudden they're in tip-top form going into that. So that could definitely add to who's going to take some good form into that World Cup. But look, going back to, I think this event will definitely showcase the best players around the world, and hopefully, look, we get eyes on it from around the world. Just before we jumped on air, and this is what I think the likes of BPL in this kind of format that they're using at the World Cup. Before we jumped on air to do this podcast, I actually got a text message from one of the guys that works with me, okay, day to day, and works in the surveying business. He's a bit of a social bowler. Right? Just goes down to his local bowls club, had a few beers. One of his mates said, give it a go, and ended up, he got himself a set of bowls, but he only plays bowls maybe once every 6 weeks, 8 weeks, maybe at best.
It's still more than me and you at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. But he keeps an interest on the likes of BPL and those events that are on TV, and he messaged me just before we came on saying, how quick does Aaron Wilson play bowls?
Yeah.
That was his text message. So tonight, he's sitting watching it.
Yeah.
And he's not a competitive bowler by any stretch.
Yeah.
But he's interested and keen to watch it. And I think that's what these kind of events should be doing. And it's clearly working. That kind of style of event, BPL, is clearly getting eyes from people that aren't the regular competitions, 21 ends, whatever it may be.
Well, Brett said it as well there too, mate. It's getting the TV companies interested in wanting to broadcast it. Sports New Zealand's going to be over there at the World Cup. So
because these kind of events are getting eyes and a different set of eyes to what we normally would have in the past on these type of events. So hopefully, like over there, and hopefully the World Cup kicks off big style, and hopefully gets plenty of publicity, and hopefully all your listeners out there tune into where you can and watch what you can, and hopefully support it, and hopefully it goes on to bigger and better things year after year.
So we will see the Brisbane 2032 Olympic Games showcase event being played at the BPL. That's going to be Australia versus the rest of the world. So the Australian team, current Commonwealth champions in Aaron Wilson, Ellen Fife, and Damien Delgado as a world champion. Then in the rest of the world team, we've got Gary Kelly, Kelly McCarron from Canada, and Julie O'Connell, the power from New Zealand. So that's a great event that'll be broadcast this week. As I said, it'll be played by the time we bring the podcast out. But they're doing the same again over in Malaysia, with Malaysia against the rest of the world. Now, I haven't seen those teams announced yet, but that'll be a great event on the Thursday night at 7:45 KL time to see that showcased again on TV to really push hard to get the sport into the Olympics. So from listening to the guys talking earlier on, mate, when we had them on, they really are putting in the hard yards for that, aren't they?
They are. They're looking forward to that, and no doubt that'll be a great week over there. And yeah, look, we're going to be lucky enough, and the listeners, we're going to be lucky enough that DJ is going to be there, as much as we jest and joke about DJ going, and as I said it 20,000 times already, but he's going to be there. He's going to be in the thick of it all. He's going to be getting some interviews, getting a feel of what it is, and sort of reporting back to us. So we will be doing a couple of episodes on it, and hopefully putting together some player interviews from that event, and also from the Hall of Fame, and DJ will be getting in touch with some of those people, and hopefully we can pick their brains and some Bulls knowledge and Bulls stories over the years, and glean some bits of golden nugget from all those people that are going to be at that event. So yeah, no pressure, DJ, but
plenty of pressure there. Hey, Jeepers Creepers. You have to get people that are willing to talk to me now. It's unbelievable.
Well, that's a different thing. But yeah, well, you just, do the best you can.
We'll see how we go, man. We'll see how we go. But yeah, definitely looking forward to it, man. And then it finishes off, like we said, with the World Bowls Hall of Fame. Big gala dinner at the Easton Hotel, Kuala Lumpur, where 31 men and women will be inducted in the first ever Hall of Fame, mate. So we'll look at that in a bit more detail, that one, with the next episode, I think, because we could really dive into that in a bit. There's a lot of obviously worthy recipients there, as we touched on with Brett. There's been plenty of comments on social media about who should have been there, who shouldn't have been there. I don't think there's anyone in there that you could say can't be there or shouldn't be there. But you can't induct everybody either. Otherwise, what's the point? You gotta have a criteria. They've had a criteria. They've stuck to it. There's a lot of current. I think it's the only sport in the world where you can be a current player and still make the Hall of Fame. Yeah. But look, it's got to start somewhere. It's just good for our sport to have it, and we'll see where it leads from there. So interested to attend that event and try and, like I said, get a few autographs there, maybe a few interviews, and talk to people about how it feels to be inducted in the Hall of Fame for the first time.
Brilliant. Yeah.
The BPL is going on at the minute, mate. We have touched on that. So where's as the lay of the land is at the minute. We've just finished round 11, or it's currently being played, isn't it? As you watch it there on your TV.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a look at the state of the ladder after round 11. Looks like there's still 2 games to go on the TV at the minute, but that's why I look at it now. Moama Steamers played 11, won 8, lost 3. They're leading the way on 24 points from the Sydney Lions, the Geelong Jets. Tweed Head have got a game in hand, and Melbourne Extreme. That's your top 5. Perth Suns have still got a game to go, and Moreton Bay have got a game to go, and the Tridents have got a game to go. Could maybe sneak into that top 5. Sydney Saints are having a real battle. 2 wins out of 11 games. Anthony Cotter, you're going to get the boys and girl to get their finger out there. So you are, but look, halfway to the thing. But you're saying 11 games, it's halfway through. That could turn around for anyone there.
Absolutely.
So it was good. I was listening to the commentary earlier. Army of Barry was on there, and he was saying about how in previous BPLs it was really tricky to go from the daytime games because you get 15-minute breaks in between.
Mm-hmm.
To go from the daytime games to the TV games was actually quite tricky because the TV ring hadn't played on all day and everything was so different to the TV ring. But now, because of the size of the competition with the extra teams and the extra rounds, you're getting a few more games on that TV ring.
Okay.
Which is only going to add to the quality when it actually comes to the TV, which is what we're showcasing. So it's good to see. So, yeah, we'll give a rundown on the winners of that at the next podcast in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, for all those listening in, make sure you tune in. By the time you hear this, we'll be coming up to the finals. So, you want to make any changes to your predictions from last week, mate, or it's pretty much going to form?
What you're reading there, top 5, I had 3. I've got 3 there, so there's only one team that's not in around the mix. So 3 out of 5, picked. So pretty good.
Yeah, Gary and Barry, you need to get going with Melbourne Pulse. I need to find a Pulse. They're 5 wins, 6 losses at the minute. So pun fully intended. But what else is going on, mate? So went to the Bulls New South Wales Awards night last week.
Yeah, I did see you managed to get your photograph taken as well, and sneaked onto the Bulls New South Wales Facebook page and got your photo there, arriving at the venue, which I seen, and I meant to comment on it, going, how on earth did they manage to photograph you amongst all the people that are there?
I didn't even see them taking the photograph. I was just me standing. So it was just me ready to kill. It just is what it is. But, it was a good night. We put on a good show. Well done to Trish and the team and everyone who put that together. It was very good. Down at the Wendy Leagues. Chambers, what a function centre they've got. That is
pretty impressive.
That is a club, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It is. You'd love to maybe play there someday, wouldn't you, Simon?
Yeah, well, some people get that chance, so yeah.
But that was a good night. And then the conference the next day, and the keynote speaker was the one and only Karen Murphy, AM. And Karen just gave a rundown on her career and where she started, how she got to where she was. That was really interesting to talk to, Simon. So that's another one we got to keep hounding and pursuing about trying to get on the show.
Pursuing her to get on, yep.
Karen's got a very good story. So we'll see if we can catch up with her next week in KL. You going to KL? Yeah, we're going to KL. Or I'm going to KL. I think that's enough chat for this week, Simon. Got a busy week ahead. I got to go get myself ready for traveling to KL. If you hadn't noticed already, that's where I'm heading. So,
just before you go, I got a request from your wife. Right? She said, 1, don't drink too much Pepsi Max, and 2, just stay an extra week because she'd love to have another week without you at home. So make sure you miss that plane coming home.
Yeah, thanks for that, mate. Looking forward to a good week away. Hopefully get some plenty of content to bring back to you, mate. We'll have a chat in a couple of weeks' time about how that event went. All jokes aside, from looking at it, it's going to be a great event, and I really hope it takes off the way they need. Just another great event to promote our sport, give some young aspiring bowlers a chance to look forward to this and playing this in the future, and yeah, to make it an actual team event, mate. That's a great incentive I hang over to. So. Very much looking forward to that, mate. So that'll do us for this week, I think. We've done our Around the Greens. We'll talk BPL next time, World Cup again. And, you just enjoy a couple of weeks, mate, at home. House shopping, negotiating contracts. And, for everyone else, keep that little disc on the inside.
And good luck on those greens. The views, information, or opinions expressed during What a Load of Bulls podcast episodes are solely those of the individuals involved and do not represent those of any group, organization, or employer associated or affiliated to individuals. This podcast is for general information purposes only, to educate and inform. This podcast does not constitute professional advice or services. What a Load of Bulls does not guarantee the accuracy or reliability of any opinions expressed or statements made within episodes.